All right, just like that, we are back again for another episode of the Ascendry podcast. This time, I have with me somebody who is not only a mentor on the Ascendry.app platform, but he is also a mentor of other sorts, as well as EDM producer. You know, I, without further ado, I welcome Spira. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Like BLAQOUT just said, I go by Spira. My name is actually Vante Spears. No relation to Britney Spears. I get that my entire life. I wish, but essentially, I have been teaching for about 15 years now. So not necessarily just EDM production, but I have a lot of experience teaching youth and collegiate level athletes in the competitive cheerleading space. So I've done that for about like 15 years. I've been in the music sector for about like, it'll actually be 3 years. Yes, 3 years this November. Yeah. So when I navigated into that space, I've always had an ear for music. I'm always the person that everybody wanted on the aux at a party, that somebody wanted to play music, make me a playlist, essentially all that stuff. So I've always had an ear for it. So it's really easy for me to gravitate toward teaching the things that I'm very passionate about.
I can honestly relate with that. I mean, back when I was in high school, right? I was never interested in topics that weren't directly like I didn't do good in certain subjects, right? Unless they were interesting. But the music classes, same deal. Would you say that's the same for you with the teaching? It's like, do you feel like you're better at teaching the stuff that you're into?
Uh, I definitely feel like I'm better at teaching stuff I'm more into because I probably have more knowledge on it, but I enjoy the process of helping people grow and teaching regardless. So, if somebody comes up to me is like, "Hey, help me produce a house song," and like house isn't my normal wheelhouse, but I'm interested in figuring it out to help them. So I'm as long as there's some type of inclination to want to be better and want to learn, I gravitate toward that, even if I don't necessarily like resonate within myself because there's always interest in everything.
House music too. That is, I mean, like I mainly do the heavy dubstep, and I know you do, the heavy dubstep too.
hmm
You kind of do some more on the melodic stuff too, right?
That is correct. Yes, I'm very inspired by Hans Zimmer, and I grew up playing a lot of RPGs. So, name a Final Fantasy, I've probably played it. The Tales of series, I watch a lot of anime, and I'm very, very inspired by how they can with the scores they have in music. So that's why I try to tap into that whenever I can. So I've dived deeper into like songwriting.
That's a whole different beast too. Like, I don't know if you've seen Hans Zimmer's masterclass.
I have not. I should probably tap into it honestly.
It is so good. And it's something that I love about that masterclass is he teaches you to think abstract with how you're composing your
Mhm.
music. Now, in like EDM, it seems like a lot of the subgenres, your rhythm, your dubstep, house, all that, the structure can get very rinse and repeat. Um,
Mhm.
but you don't exactly get that luxury when you're dealing with a film score where like a whole story is happening. You have to cater what you're composing to the movie. I love Hans Zimmer for that. Like,
Which actually, it the scoring of a movie is similar to the scoring of a cheerleading routine. So
really?
yeah. So I don't know if I said it earlier, but I produce. That's my full time job essentially. I produce cheerleading music for the cheerleaders to compete to. So it worked out perfectly for my 15 years of coaching experience and being an athlete with my knowledge and passion of music. I was the weird anomaly of somebody that we very rarely do have both. Somebody that loves music and also loves or has a passion and experience for cheerleading. But essentially, somebody sends me a video of their routine, and I have to score it. Like I have to make sure the sections make sense for what they're doing. So, like, in a melodic sense. So we actually have a need for singers in cheerleading music because when they're doing their stunts, which are when they're lifting other humans, it shouldn't be like a heavy dubstep atonal beat. It's usually it's chords, it's a progression of some sorts, and we need somebody to sing over that. So I have to score it to make sense with their music. And then to even double down on that, a team could come to me. Like I had just finished a mix for a team. Their name is Lavish, and their theme that they wanted throughout the music was like having a lavish lifestyle and expensive. So like I had to make the voiceovers and record them and hire artists to sing essentially about like, hey, so a very vanity topic, but we have more money to you. So I have to score it to make sense with their routine. So it does have a lot of scoring in it.
And that I can imagine with the routines, there's probably even is there like a set like array of different keys that you typically use for the sense of like emotion?
For singing sections, I could pretty much use any type of key I want. It's really about what key the singer is best in. So, like, knowing what their range is. I know, like, I've noticed the sweet spot for most males and females, relatively anywhere from C sharp to F sharp minor is kind of where I'm at. If you go into those G's and stuff like that, you're kind
It
of
can get
losing that.
dicey.
Yeah, it can get a little dicey. So we usually avoid those. Very rarely you'll come across an anomaly that's her sweet spot. So, we can cater to it. But it's always the trade-off, with dubstep, we typically avoid the G, like for the most part.
So
So
hard to get a good sounding sub bass note in
mhm,
G. It's like because you have to do the octave swap, right? Where it's like you get like see one thing that I like doing with that is if you have a note that's really bad in like a high octave, like a B is a prime example. B0, you're not going to hear that very well. But if you take B0 and B first octave and you group them together and you saturate them together, like
mhm,
extreme. You could even do like
mm,
a bit of a bit reduction on that. Like Ableton's Redux is good for that.
yeah.
Just make sure you add jitter, and it just creates the harmonic frequencies, but it also creates this like spatter between
Mhm,
the two main notes, and it
yeah.
will fill out the low end. But that's a lot of gymnastics, no pun intended, just to get a good sub note.
Yeah. I've actually tried when I'm in B, I'll give it a shot. It depends on the synth and the sub I'm using, but I did a remix recently for Blacksmith, and the song was originally written in B minor, and I was like, okay, here, what are we gonna do? Also,
E
I actually
minor
use the
notes
neck.
work really well with B minor.
Really? Okay. I haven't given that a shot yet, but
I only
I
know
pretty
this
much use the
because
-1 on Ableton because that net, like it says, like -1, which you would think would be no sound, but yeah, sometimes you might get some like pretty like cool harmonics on it, depending on what synth you're using with the sub.
have you ever tried ring modding something that's that low in octave to a
I have
normal
not.
octave synth? This
I have
works
not.
better with synths than it does. I don't know how this would sound with a sub bass, but
Mhm,
sometime in Serum or Serum 2, ring mod something that's really, really low octave to something that's
mhm,
normal octave. And I've found better results from having the wavetable be similar to the
mhm.
other, so not super drastically different. You can get some really interesting. It's almost like a very unstable, very dissonant version of whatever the wavetable is that you're currently using. So it's
Interesting.
yeah, it's really weird. Hard to get it to fit in a song. So, but if you can, it works really well with tear out stuff. It works out
Oh
with
yeah.
like heavier.
Probably leaning more toward if you're going something like a little bit more atonal or eerie, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, eerie is a good way to put it because you're mentioning these keys, and meanwhile, I'm over here in, Nocturne Alley over here. I'm down here in D minor all the
Mhm.
time. Just
I
the
mean,
brooding key.
it's a good key though. D minor is probably one of my favorite keys to produce for anything, dubstep adjacent. C sharp minor, I like a lot actually.
That's a good one. C sharp
Yeah, I
minor
love C
is
sharp minor
fun.
because the relative major, is it off the top of my head, it all blends together after a while. I think it's
I think it's F
F major.
major. I can look this up right now.
Yeah. Act like I don't have a computer right in front of me.
I
See
can
if I
clip
was
that out.
right.
E major, it looks like
E major, okay.
we were close-ish.
Yeah. So I've been playing around with relative majors and minors when writing too, which technically they're the same key. It's just all about, when they resolve. So that's one thing try to think about is I try not to get myself completely stuck in the box of like, even though I'm writing a D minor, okay, what's the relative major? You know?
And it's the way that you use the notes can have a major impact on the
Hmm.
emotion that you invoke too. Because, like, if you're
Hmm.
in D minor, for example, and the notes are generally going down in pitch, you're going to
Hmm.
sound pretty morose
Hmm.
and very, like, brooding, like, overly dramatic, uneasy. I mean,
Yeah.
these are all characteristics that you can get with D minor, but, um, like you said, it's like it's how it resolves. It can change the entire
Hmm.
cadence of the melody or harmony. It's nuts. But
Yeah. Also depends on how, we could talk music theory for hours, but I've been diving into that a lot. I found a lot of inspiration from that.
So where did this all start for you? So I know you said that you produce cheer music, and now you're making. I've heard some of your tracks, some of your
Mhm,
EDM tracks.
mhm.
When did you decide to start producing EDM? How did you get there?
So I decided my roommate I lived in Portland, Oregon for about, like, 5 years. Um, while I was living in Portland, a roommate at the time, we used to go to, shows and festivals, and I've always had the ear for the music. Like, I can hear the first beat, I'm like, "Oh, this is this song by so and so." Like, I was just always tapped in, and my buddy was like, "Hey, you should start DJing, like, you should." Like, I was like, you know, kinda, like, brush it off because I was in the mindset that I need to essentially, either keep coaching or transfer into the corporate space to, make sure that I could get consistent revenue. But my buddy decided to be an awesome roommate. Shout out JoJo. He decided to just buy me a DDJ 400. He just like went on Facebook Market, got there. He was like, "Hey, here, do use this in your free time." So then I started DJing a little bit. Kind of did that for a couple months, and without, I guess, revealing too much, I had a something happened in my life where I went on a not too healthy, created some not too healthy habits in a sense. I wasn't being productive with time, and music essentially, for lack of a better word, saved my life. I finally decided to start diving into music in about like November of 2022, 3. Yeah, so it's been like 3 years. That's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to learn to make music. So I started off DJing a little bit before that to start wanted to be productive with all that time. Like all this time I could have spent, going to a bar or, sitting in bed, watching a TV show, doing all these things that aren't necessarily going to benefit my passion and my purpose in the world. I decided to just put that energy into producing. And my current girlfriend, she knows Louis J was one of my favorite producers at the time. She was
Love
like big
Louis
on,
J.
yeah, they're sick. Um, but she pretty much she's big on Twitter. I'm not big on Twitter, but she was on Twitter and she followed them and she's like, she saw a tweet that they were starting lessons, and she was just like, "Hey," like sent it to me, and I was like, "Okay, word." So then I hit up Louis J and I took my first lesson that day, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is it." So it helped me stay very productive. Music, for lack of a better word, saved my life. Honestly.
And then the bug bit you. It's funny when people say, I don't know, before I got really deep into music, I used to just sort of brush it off as like maybe a dramatic saying when people like music saved my life. When I was
Hmm.
young, when I was a teenager, right?
Hmm.
And it's funny how I had that outlook and then music did the same thing for me.
Hmm.
And there's tons of other producers. I'm pretty sure you could go on like Google or ChatGPT and like music saved my life producer, and you'd probably find stories, maybe even in
Hmm.
troves, where creating music, where having a creative outlet like that put you on a better or put a producer or musician on a better trajectory in their life. It's cool
Yeah.
stuff, man. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as EDM, before that, how'd you get into cheerleading production?
So I actually started cheerleading production in 2024. That's a recent thing. So I was producing EDM first. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
I was producing EDM first, and I'm originally from
Because you were
Chicago, Illinois.
coaching or the
Yes,
coachings we've been doing for longer, but
yes.
okay, that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah, so I've been coaching on and off. I've been to Canada, I've coached in name a state. I've been somewhere everywhere, just doing it for a long time. It's like one of those things that for me is just comes so easy. The teaching aspect that I don't even really think about it. So when I got approached by my current boss, I work for a company named Spirit Vibe Productions. He saw that I moved back to Texas. I've kind of lived some everywhere, but I moved back to Texas when I had lost my corporate gig, and got back into coaching after that. So I took a little bit of a break from coaching to try to, live the corporate life like they try to make you feel like you should.
Oh
but
yeah, like the narrative
yeah,
goes, right?
yeah. But I got let go from that because honestly, my heart wasn't in it, and probably the easiest uh, firing you probably ever heard of. My boss called me and was just like, "Hey, we're gonna let you go." And I was like, "I understand. I wasn't that good at it, and I'm aware of that. I'm able to look within and be like, I just wasn't that good at it. I was so focused on, what can I do in music? I showed up for work, but I wasn't there. I wasn't present.
Right.
You know.
It's big. It's a big difference when you're just there and you're clocked in, but you're not like clocked in. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing sales, so it's like very volume based, so yeah.
Sales is
Yeah.
was it over the what kind of sales was it?
I did. So, the big scrubbers your janitor cleans the floor with? I sold those. I sold anything from a vacuum for your studio right there to a street sweeper.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So sounds like a business to business type sale then, right? Like B2B?
It could be B2B, but it could also be, B to I, like individual. It could be like if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
hit me up like, hey, Vante, I want a floor scrubber. I could sell that to you, but they're looking for like I was going to casinos. I was like vetting the Portland airport. Like it's like, and usually the lifespan of those sales takes a little bit because nobody's spending anything less than $50,000 with it anyway. Like it's big equipment. School districts were a big thing for me.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Sales was I did sales for a while too. It was higher ticket um education sales. And it was
Okay.
I believed in the education that was being sold, so I think that
Hmm.
helped. But
Hmm.
still, like, I don't know, just that like that rhythm. And there's also the sales psychology. And I don't know if you've read
Yeah.
any of those like those books. You ever read any of
Hmm.
those or taken any of those courses? The
I had to
seven
take,
figure.
training courses a little bit, but it's one of those things that uh, I, if somebody asks me a question and I say no, I'm very adamant about like just, the word no is not bad. You should use it. So I would say no. And if you ask me the same question again immediately after saying no, I'm gonna get a little irritated. And I couldn't do that to other people. I feel like a hypocrite. So like if I'm like, hey, do you want to buy this? No, I'm okay. Have a good day. I'm still here as a resource if you need me. Like, cause it all came down to me teaching. I actually loved when we sold our equipment, we would have to teach on it, like how to use these big machines. That's what I truly enjoyed about it. So it comes
Is
back to
the
my love
teaching.
for teaching. Yeah. Like teaching, coaches training, like helping people grow. That's what I'm invested in more so than the sales part of it. But to them, where's the numbers?
Yeah, and it's like also being on the receiving end of that, like whenever somebody, like I'm not going to name the company, but there's one company that will not leave me alone,
Hmm.
that keeps calling me. So I stopped using their service because it is currently unavailable to me. Like it's
Hmm.
not like an I don't like them thing or anything. It's
Hmm.
just the viability is no longer there for me using
Right.
it.
Right.
And he tried to sell me like 5 other things, and I had to talk to 3 different people to the
Hmm.
point where today I get another phone call from a 4th person, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the
Yeah.
side of sales I didn't really like, is feeling
Hmm.
like I'm pushing and pushing and pushing. And also the scripts. I'm also a firm believer that if you can have a genuine conversation with somebody, you'll be able to, if you have
Hmm.
like any level of conversational skills, you should be able to figure out if the sale is right for that person
Right.
just by
Exactly.
talking to them. It
Yes.
shouldn't be like you're over here with your 7-figure closer gajillionaire grind set script and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
did you know there's
If they
actually a
say this,
skill?"
then say this. Yeah.
Yeah, if then principles. And it's like, did you know that there's actually a term in sales called twisting the knife? Have you heard that one?
I've heard a buddy of mine who's big in sales speak about it, but I honestly don't know what it means exactly.
So it's pain-based selling. So you identify, so like if you were to do this, it's like person A is who you're talking to, person B is who they're going to be if they use your service, your product, your class, whatever. And then you're right here in the middle, and you're the vehicle, you're the vessel that could deliver them to becoming person B. But in order for them to realize this dynamic, they have to understand they are person A. And to get people into that mindset, salespeople will point out negative things. Oh, you don't like your job? Tell me more about what you hate about your job. Oh, you
Oh,
don't like this health condition you have? Tell me more about how much you hate it. Like,
yeah.
then when they're hesitant on the sale for whatever reason, they have objections. They just don't want to, commit to it. You bring it back to, oh, but think about how much you just rub it in their face, and that is called twisting the knife, and it is the most psychologically manipulative thing I have ever heard of when it comes to sales. I refuse to do it.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't
what
even
made me want to get out of sales.
yeah, I didn't I never got that deep into it. But yeah, that playing on the negativity of people just is not something I'm ever gonna be able to get down with.
Icky.
If anything, I'm trying to uplift people. So, but I don't even think I ever actually answered your question. So yeah, I got out of that and then went when I moved to Texas after I lost that job, my current boss, who saw me on Instagram. and Facebook posting, because we're Facebook friends, posting all my EDM stuff. And I think this was maybe, I think I just dropped maybe my first single that December or something like that. I was just kind of posting like, teasing some bootlegs I had done, remixes and stuff like that. And he was just like, I remember you from cheerleading. I was like, yeah. He's like, you make music for free, right? I'm like, I mean, yeah, essentially, I just love it. He's like, how do you want to get paid to do music? And I was like, sign me up. So I was the only person that fit the mold. He didn't want to teach a, a non-cheerleader how to understand cheerleading, and didn't want to teach a cheerleader how to produce on Ableton. I'm the only other person that uses that DAW in cheerleading music. It's not really catered toward, like, I guess Ableton might be too technical. I don't really don't know, but I guess apparently we're the anomaly in Ableton, like in this creative sector. People are still rocking GarageBand and stuff like that,
Yeah,
which
I was gonna say I could see maybe GarageBand, something a little more
yeah.
like entry level, I guess, maybe
Yeah,
being
they
used.
don't really have the need for the automation, the lanes, all the tracks. Like, I've never seen many other people's projects, but they lean more toward that type of stuff. Not even FL is even a thing that people really use. So
FL,
that's
man,
how I get.
FL's
I like
nightmare
it. I've been
fuel.
in it a lot lately.
You have?
Yeah, I've been yeah, I've been, because I hybrid both FL and Ableton. I've been
Oh, that's
going
right.
back and forth. Harmer is insane.
Well, yeah, I will say I know I just said that FL's nightmare fuel. Sorry, but yes, Harmer is amazing. I will say
Yes.
Harmer is, if I was ever gonna get FL and open it, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. I like FL. It's just there's some sounds like I go back and forth. Plus, it also allows me to not get I guess too stale, because some things I can do easier in Ableton and easier in FL. So I can, like, perfect example. I prefer stock OTT over the expert OTT when I'm in Ableton.
The stock OTT is underrated. I think there's
Yes.
something to be said there for that because, and here's my thing with Xverse OTT. Let me know if you agree.
Hmm.
It's too much. I know that the general concept of
Yes.
OTT, or over the top
Yeah.
compression, is supposed to be too much, but there is, I guess, such thing as too much of too much. Like, I'm always bringing the time setting up to like 500%. I'm always dialing it way back. I am
Hmm.
like doing
Yeah.
anything I can to just cool that signal off.
Hmm.
Whereas the OTT that is built into the multiband dynamics in Ableton is at least pretty reasonable.
Hmm.
It's a little more reasonable.
I think so too. I also think that because it has a lot more information presented to me right there, I have a little bit more flexibility to work quickly on what I want to do with the sound. So, like, I can, turning off that low band to be compressed, and mid and highs, like, you have a little bit more flexibility on Ableton in that. And I know it is possible to do that with the Xfer OTT, but in order to get there, it's just a little bit extra work. Like, I can't just turn off the low band compression in the Xfer OTT. Like, you can do more upward or more downward, but it's not like I can just, like, and you can change the frequency range of where you want everything to be compressed. So that's why I lean toward that. But if I'm in FL and I don't have that tool, how do I create that? That's kind of where my brain kind of thinks.
Well, also the ratios too. I don't think you can change the ratio in X for OTT, can you? It's always just 36 to 1.
Mm. Mhm. You could
Yeah.
change the
So
time, the what's it called? The depth, which is pretty much, I think, the dry wet, pretty much. Uh, and then downward, upward, how much upward and, downward compression you want.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess that's something. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for there being more options to use. I had a student one time who took just a regular saw wave, low octave,
Mhm.
one for the unison. So it's pretty much just the initial patch in Serum.
Mhm.
It was before Serum 2 also, and it basically put a vocoder on it and set it to modulator, and then put the release time like pretty much all the way down. And what it made was it kind of got rid of most of the patch, but then he went and put 3 of Ableton's OTT on it.
Mhm.
Literally just 3 of them. And the end result, he had adjusted some other things on the vocoder as well, but the end result was just this like watery, like crazy. It was a sick sound. If you want to
Yeah.
hear that sound, my track Antifreeze and Antifreeze VIP with Evane. Shout out Evane. He's dude's a wizard at
I never would have
production.
thought about honestly doing that.
No, that
You pretty
dude
much, like, vocoder the sound, make it thin, and then bring back the character, and then, like, the signal back with 3 OTTs. Yeah.
destroy it and then amplify it. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's or who else talks about that a lot? Skrillex. Skrillex talks about intentionally destroying the quality of a sound
Mhm.
to get another sound out of it, and then turn it into something else. Like digital distortion, he looks at it as a good thing.
Mhm.
So, but
I mean,
yeah.
Skrillex is the GOAT, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I was about
so
to say, list of bad Skrillex songs.
can't
Oh,
name
actually,
any.
I have the list right here, man. I have the list of all the bad Skrillex songs.
There you go, see?
Yep. So that was corny, but I'm not gonna cut it out. We're gonna leave it au naturel. So this is something that I've been asking every mentor for Ascendry.app that's come on the podcast so far, but I'm probably going to ask everybody. We're going to have other guests come on eventually, but I am genuinely curious about this. Can you think of any particular hardships that you faced when getting into producing your music under Spira? Did you reach any were there any parts that were particularly difficult for you?
Um, After I would learn to manage, like, navigate my way through a DAW, whether it be FL or Ableton, I got to a little hiccup where, I learned how to make, let's just say, I kind of started more in rhythm and, branched out, but I was making the same sound when I was trying to make something else. So that sound design aspect kind of got me a little frustrated. Like I'd be like, I want to make dubstep. Well, how do we end up back at rhythm? So learning like, like
Right
let
in
me
my
change
life.
this to a snare, like so uh that was a hump that I had to get through. It probably took a little bit. Appreciate challenges. I don't shy away from them. Like I think that the reason I've progressed as much as I have for only producing, like I never even touched a DAW 3 years ago. So is
And
because
some
I go
Sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say some of the stuff that you're that amazes me though. Not trying to glaze, but it's like you hadn't touched a DAW 3 years ago, and your tracks are insane.
I
That's
appreciate that, man.
yeah,
I also like, I'm the type of person, if I don't know how to do it, I'm not afraid for getting the resources and, I will ask for help. I will, I've reached out to you for a couple like questions on some sound design stuff, like knowledge is power, especially in what we do. So like uh that hump to get through, I pretty much noticed I kept coming across the same thing. So I took a couple lessons from some mentors, like Samplifier is one of mine, like I hit him up and
Samplifier's
was
the
just
goat
he's insane. Like his
as a
brain works at
mentor.
a speed. Yes, he is. I've learned so much from him, and uh, it's really you can see. It's the old phrase like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's similar to teaching in that aspect because you can. I don't like to teach to hey do this because of this. I'm trying to teach you to understand it, which is where what I've done for so long was like a lot of these skills I'm teaching these kids literally can be dangerous. They're flipping and spinning and landing on their feet. So like the instead of just telling them, "Hey, do this," especially kids, they're gonna ask why. There's nothing wrong with why. So ask the questions if you are, being a student, but I'm trying to teach you to understand it. So for me, once I was able to understand, okay, like I keep getting this metallic sound because I'm putting a Combs filter on something. I keep getting this, square four sound, even though I might not be doing a square four, but my wavetable is now looking a little bit too much like a square. So, learning what these bass sounds come from is when I was able to get over that hump. But that hump took a little bit after I probably dropped my first couple songs, and I was like trying to, we sit in the studio and try to stock up as many tunes as we can, make a showcase, get more tunes up, maybe start some into labels. That's when I was like, too many of these sound not they weren't intentional, like what they sounded like. I was like, I'm trying to make dubstep, trying to make trap, I'm trying to make whatever, insert whatever genre here. That was probably the hardest hurdle to come up to get over. So, and sometimes I'll still randomly be like, well, that wasn't the intention. But, like I can still navigate and find my way on where it went wrong in my processing chain or the process to make it.
well yeah, and I mean I feel like it's like it's like having just a regular handbag of tools or
Hmm.
having one of those big Craftsman, the big red toolkits, the ones that like the
Yeah,
NASCAR
yeah.
drivers have. It's like having one
Uh-huh.
of those versus having just your standard run of the mill like house toolkit.
Hmm.
You gotta have multiple different types of certain tools. Like I even tell
Hmm.
my students, like, I mean, Serum 2, wonderful synth. Try other synths out. There's
Hmm.
like if you I even use multiple different stereo imagers. I'll use Wider, I'll use Ozone Imager, I'll use anything I can in that department.
MSET.
You showed me MSET.
Yeah,
In
MSET.
fact,
Yeah.
you mentioned when you were contacting me about, getting some advice on something, and I
Hmm.
think it was in that very same phone call you told me about MSET. And let me tell you, so I was mixing a record for Mantis,
Hmm.
Gutter Gang, with
Hmm.
Quiet. And I think it was like 3 or 4 different passes, and we couldn't get it sounding quite right. And like, I tried to get it hole in ones are rare, but I try to get it in like 2 or maybe 3. We were on like the 4th one, and I was like, it was a real head scratcher. You showed me MSED, and that next one, he was like, cool, we're good.
There we go. I love that plugin. Like shout out Vox
So
and Go
good.
for everything they do. Span and MSED. Like it's honestly it's crazy that it's a free plugin, but
It's crazy. It's free. Those Voxing is for the people.
hmm.
Anybody, any producer who's watching this, if you are not using Voxing Go Span, and frankly MSED,
Hmm.
then go get those. Go get
Yep.
those immediately. Also, if you're on Windows, there's one that I found recently. Have you heard of the engineer's filter?
I have not.
Okay, so when you have like EQ8 and you
Hmm.
do like a high pass or low pass, the standard curve is it's pretty, chill. It's 12 decibels per octave officially, but then you go do the X4 curve to get 48 decibels per octave. That is still not steep enough. And like you have Fab Filter Pro Q3 or Pro Q4, you can get up to 96
90, right? Yeah.
decibels. Yeah. And then you can brick wall, but the problem is with brick wall, for some reason, the lower the frequency, the more likely you wind up with unwanted pops and anomalies in that exact
Mhm.
frequency.
Okay.
It just doesn't handle the sudden yes, 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 no, like
Hmm.
anywhere near as well as Engineer's Filter. I saw in a Dead Mouse video recently, he was talking about how apparently it is a plugin. It's unfortunately for Windows only, but it literally goes, oh, you want this to cut off at 100? Cool, 99 hertz and below doesn't exist. It just removes it. It's almost like what MSET does, and the fact that it like encodes or decodes, but
Yeah.
it's just a total
So
just
instead of essentially filtering it and like, or for, I mean, because filtering can also be looked at like decreasing the volume for lack of, for people that might not, understand that. But like, so it's pretty much getting rid of that information.
it excises the frequency completely out of the mix,
Okay. That's
which
dope.
could be awesome for if you're doing any sort of. I feel like this would be a good one for drop synths and sub basses. If you're going for that really
Mm.
crunchy sound, you really want a
Mhm.
clear distinction between those. So,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
fun stuff. That's a whole different rabbit hole. How much have you gone down the rabbit hole of those crunch methods, like the Space Laces crunch method, the prosecute crunch?
I haven't tried to do the space laces crunch method, but I did a very big stint of trying to do the Hall, very like distorted, method, pairing and gluing your sub and your synth together and processing them together, whether it be Camel Crusher, Kilohertz distortion, as your
Standard clip.
distortion is. Yeah. Oh, I do have standard clip. I also have free clip too. So whatever G clip even, I blast it that way. I've done that. Which was a nice little thing to, throw in the wheelhouse because I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand how to do that, you know?
I feel like right now with music production, especially like particularly in the dubstep world,
Mhm.
I mean, you look at Space Laces, every time Space Laces does something, the whole dubstep world stops and stares, right? Like
Yeah.
it's because it's always very forward thinking. It's always very I mean, he's a fantastic producer. So, but everybody tries to imitate afterwards. You notice that? He's like, everybody tries to. And when he put that song This Way out, you know that
Mhm.
one? Like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
insane song. And Odd Prophet, I think this will be the second time I've mentioned this particular tutorial on the podcast. Shout out Odd Prophet, but he does a tutorial where he talks about using overdrive on Serum 2's
And two, the overdrive stack is insane.
stack is nuts. And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun with that on sub basses of all things.
Mhm.
Because if you do that and then you re-filter it, that's a whole different thing. But I
Mhm.
feel like right now everybody is trying so hard. It's like it's the quest for the holy grail of sound design. They're trying to get that crunch. And I
Yeah.
almost wonder if like maybe it's like people should kind of chill out a little bit. Like, because there's so many clean ways to do sound too. I mean,
Yeah,
distorted sounds are cool, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's like I definitely lean into, like, as much as I like heavy things, I love tone and timbre. Like, as much as I can. Like, obviously it's not always going to fit that, but I prefer like either a motif or some type of h- tonal layer on top. So like, it's nice to know how to do it. I think that people, the crunch method really intrigues people because the no matter what song Space Lays is of, or any genre that he does, it always has high energy. So I think people might be associating that method with like the energy they want to create, which within the EDM, especially dubstep, bass music is a very high energy type of setting. So I think that might be what they're trying to do. It might not even, people obviously inspire you, have your inspirations. I think it might be more so like, dang, I want that feeling. So they're more so chasing the feeling. I don't think the method they really care for so much. That's where people are, throwing things that hit in the fan.
They want the aesthetic more so
Yes.
than yeah,
Yeah.
that's valid. I could see that being a reason. I have noticed, and this is just me being like an audio frequency kind of like nerd. I
Hmm.
have noticed with space laces, there is a very sharply and precisely defined frequency range. Like there's
Hmm.
like an allowance of he allows certain elements in the mix to have a certain frequency limitation. And like other elements in the mix, they do not. Like it's very neat in terms of okay, the
Right.
sub is here, the synths are here.
Hmm.
Oh, the snare comes in, so like everything else that's in snare frequency is getting, more than likely sidechained using a dynamic EQ as well as
Hmm.
a compressor sidechain. Because anybody, I don't know if you knew about this, but have you ever used Fab Filter to sidechain certain frequencies to other ones?
I do that almost every single project, or I use Soothe. Depends on how surgical I want to get, but any intro that I have, especially because I like the melodic elements, and pianos could be a curse to mix in things. And vocals, piano vocals, let's add some strings, all that stuff. I'm usually dynamic EQing with the sidechain to the vocals, and then sometimes even some elements in my drop are going to be dipping where I want them to shine. Like,
Yep.
just depends. Yeah, I'm very like big on the sidechain with dynamic EQ. Yeah.
Nice. That's yeah, no, this is I started doing this a little more recently than I'd like to admit because I've been producing EDM for this will be my 15th year come January and
Yeah.
I started doing the dynamic EQ sidechain like 2 years ago. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
but never too late to start.
never too
Well, I
late,
mean,
and it changed the game. It totally changed the game because, like, you have a vocal, and I like to crowd my intros with instruments, like my Power remix,
mhm,
from,
it's a good remix,
uh
by the way.
thank you.
Mhm,
Those guys crushed it. It was, K Woozy crushed on the vocals, Pop
mhm.
Pop, Wilco, Soul Valiant. I mean, that's a given, and then M&G also crushed it with the release. I
Love that label.
remember
They
yeah,
do
that
good work.
label did super
Yeah.
good. I took the vocal did a dupe of the vocal, high octave, low octave, and then
Mhm,
normal. So that already took up a pretty wild, even after EQing each one accordingly, it still
mhm,
took up a lot of the mix. But then there was also, I think, like 7 or 8 different melodic and harmonic components in the intro
mhm.
at the same time. So like
Yeah,
we had like it had to be done. Like it wouldn't work unless you took Fab Filter Pro Q3 and you
yeah.
sidechained the frequencies.
Have you done it with Soothe before?
Sidechain with Soothe? No, I haven't. I
Yes.
use Soothe just on I use it on the most like basic way possible, but you can
Mhm.
sidechain with Soothe?
You can do the same thing. You can pretty much use the sidechain input. Let's say you want the vocals to trigger the sidechain for your instrument melodic harm content bus. So you pretty much it'll react like a dynamic EQ. You can be really like Fab Filter. You can be very surgical. Soothe pretty much like detects like the resonances, and instead of taking it out, it pretty much takes that resonance out of the thing you're trying to sidechain. So it creates
Oh,
space for that
man.
vocal.
It's
Yeah, so
very
it pretty much
precise too,
is
like,
is
Soothe 2 is very precise.
yes, yeah. So it depends on if I'm doing more so like general scoop, like I know like okay, like let's take out more mids of this or something like that. I'll use Pro Q, or if I know I want it to go a certain uh attack release because you can control that on a dynamic EQ. I'll do that, but like Soothe is probably the first option I would do in melodic content for that reason because it works quick.
You know, I bet you could probably, because a lot of the time too, I bet you this could be very useful with like tear out stuff too. Like, because I'll
Hmm.
take 4 or 5, sometimes even like 6 or more. Like, dude, my fireball flip, there was 9 different layers to the machine gun in the second half of the drop.
Oh snap!
Um, well, that part of that was like, so one was like 3 of them were like the same, but they had a comb filter on it, so I would adjust the comb filter just a tiny little bit on
Hmm.
each one, so it was just ever so slightly different, and
Right, right,
then
right.
that created a nice depth in the mix. But since it changed the timbre of the sound, it didn't phase cancel since it was layered on top of each other, so it was cool. But
Yeah,
um
that's dope. Like I never think about layering. That's one thing. Layering a lot is a technique in its own right, and yeah, that's something I always think about. I do feel like some of the people I work with, I have some people I do lessons with already currently. Before getting signed up with Ascendry, and I think studying Skrillex and artists like or space lasers, like the artists of those caliber that can help people explain this. When people find out the concept of layering, like people got to remember it has to be done tastefully. So they might layer a bunch of sounds that don't necessarily make sense, or they're not checking, their stereo image, or not everything could be 0 dB. So that's one thing I try to make sure I let people know, like let's make the idea simple first and expand on it, like any theme really.
and also the gain, like not having everything at 0 dB. That's a good point. That's a really good
Yes,
point.
yes. That's it's like actually, how do you usually produce? Do you produce loud or quiet?
I produce actually really quiet. I produce to where I have like between 6 and 9 decibels of headroom on the master, and then I also keep my interface and my headphones quiet because, for me anyways, I think this is like a general thing, but I know for me, I hear drastic differences in volumes better at lower volumes than if
Yes.
everything's blasted out. Plus, if you're producing quietly, you can produce for longer before your ears get fatigued, all that.
Hmm. Yeah.
But then I master it in a borderline ignorant way. I've noticed recently that Ableton is really, really lenient with clipping
Hmm.
on the master. Have you noticed that?
To be honest, I have not. Compared to FL, I don't think I've noticed that much of a difference. Is
I
that
don't.
just like without a clipper on the master, you mean?
Yeah, like FL, I feel like in FL, if you export something that's just clipping on the master, like no clipper, no limiter, no nothing, it's just in the red,
Hmm.
you'll get a pretty drastic loss of sound quality way before, like in Ableton. I put a song out recently called Utter Ruination, and
Hmm.
that song was hitting at +9 on the master. It practically didn't have a final clipper or limiter, and because I was having a really hard time getting the drums to poke through.
Yeah.
So eventually I got frustrated and was like, you know what? Turns them up,
Yeah.
turns them up, turns them up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? While we're here, let's just turn the entire mix up. And then I actually just kind of squashed it, but then boosted the output gain on
Hmm.
the last compressor, but then just didn't put any soft clip or any final limiter or anything, because I had started reading about all these theories people have. I still haven't come across anything from Ableton that says, "Oh, there's a built-in soft clipper on the master." I like Greg Orleman's Black Octopus Sound made a post
Hmm.
probably about a year ago being like, that's BS. And
Yeah.
I would believe somebody like him because he's very talented at what he does. But a lot of people are very convinced that Ableton has this built-in soft clipper on the master, and
I've heard that. I haven't ever come across anything like
nothing
that I
concrete,
didn't
right?
think would happen. Yeah, I haven't ever come across anything like that. But I'm usually I'm usually like, okay, I'm in a project. I know what I'm producing. I'm either throwing, Pro L2 or G Clip or Free Clip, whatever I want to do that day on it right away. So I never even get to a point where I probably could like, uh, test that theory.
Yeah, I have been using, so I was big on G-Clip.
Hmm.
Ilgate showed me G-Clip way back
Hmm.
in like probably like 2019, and I was blown away at the fact that you could just do that. I thought you had to do I thought you could because the way he described it, he was like, yeah, just like on all your buses, you just throw a G clip on there and da da da. You basically don't even need a master chain. And I was like, what? And then, I didn't understand, for example, the 2x oversample button on G
Oh
clip.
yeah.
Do you know about have you gone down the oversampling rabbit hole yet?
First time we chatted, you showed me that. Yeah, first time we
Yep,
chatted. Yeah,
that's right, with
yeah.
standard clip.
Hmm.
That sounds kind of on brand for me the last 6 months. Yeah, I've been absolutely obsessed with that because even if you go up to like 64x oversample on like standard clip, you can do some things that other clippers would be like,
Right,
some clippers even have a warning that's like, are you sure you want to do that? But then
right.
not in standard clip. They're like, oh, dude, you want to
We
push
got it.
it 9 decibels over it? That's fine. Yeah, it's cool. So, but well, cool, man. So, as far as teaching goes, I know that you, just like everybody on Ascendry, because Ascendry.app is new at this current point,
Hmm.
we're all sort of getting a feeling for how things are going on the platform. And of course, it's been good at times. And like, there have also been times where I want to see if I can make this computer go out this window without actually opening the window first,
Okay,
because of the
okay.
technical difficulties. Like,
Yeah.
so there's been some of that, and thank you for being patient with that. um and thank anybody watching. It's been a process. But so as far as teaching goes, do you have any stories that stand out, with either music production or with cheer coaching, like anything that stands out that you'd want to share?
Probably both. Recently, just this past May, went to Oregon again to go to a athlete I used to coach. Her name's Amaya. She just graduated from college, and she's probably I coached her when she was about like 17. But we had just met when I first moved to Oregon, and pretty much, long story short, she didn't think she could get to the competitive cheerleading level in college, because college cheerleading is pretty big. You get football sized rings when you win, pretty much, and there's a lot of scholarships into them. So I was
I
like,
did not
you
know that.
can. Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy, like big ones. I don't even wear mine because what am I gonna do with that? Like they're yeah. But she didn't think she could, and she was probably if not the best, one of the best athletes I've ever had, not in terms of skill, but in terms of she shows up every day, she puts in the work, she's respectful, she's receptive, and she wants to get better. So she's the ideal person or human to work with, and she still translates those qualities in her job. She wants to be a teacher herself. She's actually doing her master's program right now. So
That's sick.
uh,
What was her
being
name?
able to, her name is Amaya.
Shout out to Maya. Congratulations. That's super cool.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
of those traits that you just described are like regardless of what you want to learn, or regardless of what you want to set out and do, if you have those traits, you're going to be unstoppable.
yeah,
You'll move mountains. That's
yeah,
cool, man.
yeah.
So she's in a master's program. What's like what for?
Teaching of wait, don't, she's gonna be mad. She's gonna be like, I told you like 3 times. I believe she is going for something, teaching math. I can't remember what grade. I think sixth grade. I think sixth grade math of some sorts. But she cheered at Dodge City Community College. They won nationals. I pretty much, like when you pour into somebody, you can get a lot. Like you can help people see their potential. So like I was just like, you definitely can do that. Like I saw it. Sometimes we might not see the best in ourselves. That's just a human. What is it called? Imposter syndrome. That happens a lot of time in the music industry. So I was pretty much telling her, you can do this, and then to see her, you know, walk across from her undergrad and graduated like she graduated from Washington State University, like, seeing her from where she was, like all the things she's accomplished, like to be able to help somebody and guide somebody do that. Granted, she did most of the work,
You
so
showed
it's
her
just
how to
still,
do the work, and then she showed up and did it.
yeah, she listened very well, like, and so I mean, I'm gonna tear up even talk about it. That's probably my best accomplishment as a human.
That's so sick,
Honestly, the
though.
the,
That's so
the
cool,
thing I'm
man.
the most proud about. But in terms of music production, think I have his artist name is Lednick. He is actually signed up on Ascendry. He goes by Kendall. Yeah,
Shout
shout
out
out
Kendall. Shout
Kendall.
out Ledneck.
We started working together feel like maybe actually a year or so now. But he hit me up. He was probably the first person to hit me up on, I believe it was Instagram, like, "Hey, dude, dope music. Do you do lessons?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like that was one of the first people I ever did lessons with in terms of EDM production. Recently, he's in my Discord. We chat all the time, and recently, he's like, we obviously chat, but like I think being able to give him the information that I don't want you to always have to come back for a lesson. Not that I don't enjoy it. I want to be there to teach you. This is not just a money thing for me. So to be like, he was just like, I think I got to a point where like I'm able to crank out more tunes, like, the things you showed me, like, like he asks for feedback when he does. And I don't want him to be reliant on me. I don't ever want to create a dynamic with me and a student where they feel like they need to always ask me for something, or that they feel like they need to, like, you can't do this without my help. I'm giving you the tools. I'm going to teach you how to do what you want to do. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try to find it. I'm trying to teach you how to create what you want. So like I'll always be there as a resource. Don't feel like you can't ask me. Like, but like it's not just a money grab for me. Like if I, for lack of better words, gatekeep all the important information, then like you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm missing this part. What was that part he told me? Or like, like, oh, okay, you gotta do another lesson to learn that. No, just ask me. Like I'm a
Oh
resource.
God.
Like
As
so.
somebody who spent most of their career being gate kept in some way, I
Mhm.
do not like that energy. There is no gatekeeping allowed on Ascendry.app.
Nope, I don't even allow it in my life. He
It's just
recently
such
asked me
a
a question in my Discord, and I was just like, he was like, "Hey, I probably want to do a lesson with you, via Ascendry, and then we can like chat about like this thing." I was just like, honestly, what you are asking me will take me 3 minutes out of my day to show you. So I will just show you how to do what you're asking me real quick. Like, so it's like, I'm like, if you want to do something that will take more than that, but like, it was like a question like, "Hey, how do you pretty much make a showcase mix in like in Ableton?" Like a lot of people don't know you can actually mix in Ableton in that aspect, line or score things in Ableton, like kind of how to do a cheerleading music. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna show you. Like, that won't take that long. I'm proud that I'm able to create a community and pour into people so that they can pour it back into themselves and eventually the next person.
honestly, that's actually kind of that little note that you had there where you can actually score sets and showcase mixes together in Ableton.
Hmm.
I don't know how many people know this, and hopefully somebody watching this realizes this is like a normal thing, but like, I don't know. I'll be 100% honest. Like every DJ mix I have uploaded on
Hmm.
SoundCloud was scored in Ableton. It was an Ableton project. Now you have to be careful with this because it's like you don't want to do a bunch of flashy stuff, because you got to also think, if you were next to, you know, if you were next to that and somebody was like, yeah, right, go do that.
Hmm.
You want to,
Hmm.
at least accurately represent your skill level. But dude, nothing, whenever I was getting into learning DJing, nothing sucked worse than getting 42 minutes into an hour long mix recording and then having to start over because I messed something up. So I just started doing them all in Ableton. Like
Yes.
if I'm going to post
So
them. No, not when I
yeah.
play
Oh yeah.
live. That's when I'm actually mixing, but
Yeah, 100%. EDM is one of those weird sectors where you kind of are expected to do both. Like we're making, a lot of, for lack of better words, robot noise. We can't go up there and sing that. I mean, they have dubstep karaoke now, but
wait, really?
uh
Is that an actual thing?
it was at either Basscane or Lost Lands. Yeah, they have like dubstep karaoke. Like I could be like, "What song is this?" Da 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 da.
Christronics.
There you go. Damn, just like that. That's like a game. uh But I do my showcase mixes in Ableton because it's pretty much like all the songs that I produced for the teas in the year. Uh, these are my insert number of songs, and I kind of do it in that. But I spend a lot of time uh, probably actually DJing open format more than I DJ EDM.
Really? Open format. I feel like open format is such a you
It is.
gotta if you do it, it's a beast.
It is. It's me doing open format has made me a better EDM DJ in my opinion. Because it, the it taught me to value the transition a lot more than throwing a quad and then spinning out, and then like it allowed me to understand the proper blends of like music keys,
Using
like
the
like
Camelot wheel and
yes, it's stuff like that.
structures that are not standard. And what I mean by standard is just like
4/4.
8, 16, 24, 32,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
The hardest song to mix in open format, Hey Ya by Outkast. It's not written in 4/4.
Wait, hang on,
If you
you're
want to
right.
laugh, yeah, it's not written in 4/4. I found it out the hard way when I was DJing a club in Portland, and I was just like, that was probably the worst transition I've ever done in my life. But you live and you learn, you know?
Whoa, that's actually interesting. I didn't realize this because usually I feel like for me, when I'm listening to songs that aren't in just that like kind of more or less standard 4/4,
Mhm.
it sticks out, but it took you saying that for me to actually go play that back in my head. And
Yeah.
yeah, what is it? And do you know the time signature off
Off the
top?
top of my head, I feel like I can't remember what it is. I looked it up once. I feel like I want to say 5 something. All right.
We're looking this up. It's oh, while some may oversimplify this pattern as an 11/4 or 22/4 time. What? Wait, 11/4? People are claiming it's an 11/4.
Which would, yeah, I mean, you can't even simplify that, I guess, 11/4. But yeah, so
Yeah,
I
that's
found it out by trying to DJ at
yeah.
a, an event, which I do recommend any aspiring EDM producers out there, or just music producers in general, in the EDM sector. It does a lot of benefits to learn to do open format. It it truly does. It'll teach you a little bit more about, like I said, keys, how to transition, because a crowd at a club is way different than a crowd at an EDM event. An EDM event, like if somebody's coming for a Spira set, like, I go on Record Box, I figure out, what songs I want to play, or if I'm just, freestyling, I know anything on this USB, people are coming to see something EDM adjacent. Like I have flexibility within that, subgenre, but for the most part, like, it's not like I'm gonna play a song and the whole crowd dies out, you know? So it's teaches you a way to carry energy through different genres, different eras of music, different uh crowds. And I'm not saying you always gotta cater to the crowd, but it's a different mindset that I can now play with and help my EDM project because of the open format that I'm doing.
That's a really good point, honestly, because like I, whenever I was first starting DJing, so like one of my first DJ gigs in my little hometown, and I took it
Mhm,
because I was like, hey, this puts me behind the controller and the laptop, and this I don't
mhm.
care that it's country music and I'm being told what to play. I
Right.
literally got a DJ gig at a country bar that's closed. It's been closed for like
Mhm,
8 years now. But basically some of the gigs after that were in venues where the DJ booth was behind glass. In one case, you had to go up a flight of stairs and the glass was slanted. So
mhm,
you as the DJ, you were looking down at the crowd and it's tinted glass. So
mhm,
they didn't even know you're there. As far as
mhm.
they're concerned, there's someone's iPod playing,
Right.
and
Yeah.
but you had to, with absolutely no interaction, there wasn't the MC effect. What I'm
Mhm.
talking about, where like if you're DJing somewhere as
Yeah.
EDM set, you can almost cover up a fudge transition just by filtering and getting on the mic, right?
Yep. Yep.
You can't do that in that setting. It's much much more difficult because like if somebody is a fan of like your music or my music, um you could maybe get away with playing like a little faux pas in the set that someone doesn't like as much.
Mhm.
Not if you're in an open format setting. They'll leave and go to the next club down the street.
That is 100% like true. Yes, it I even think like EDM is just has that flexibility. Like if let's just consider bass music, so dubstep, rhythm, trap, hybrid trap, all those subgenres. Like if I just wanted to throw in like a left field bass song in the middle of my set, it's not like the whole crowd is going to be like you said, up and leave. So you do have that flexibility within reason. Now, there is obviously you can't please everyone. If somebody comes to a rhythm set, they're expecting to see rhythm, you know, majority of the time, but you are allowed a little bit of flexibility. I DJ weddings, and that's a whole different ball game.
All the way
Like
different. You're given a
all
playlist from start to finish with exact timestamps in most cases, right?
so the way I do my weddings, I usually for the ceremony itself, I have like a form that I fill out for my company, Theory Entertainment, and I tell them for the ceremony exactly what song you want, because the ceremony is very important. It's usually for lack of a better word, scripted. They've already ran through it. They know what they're gonna do. They've probably already said their vows at some point, like it's not as on the spot as people think it is. If you've ever been on like the wedding coordination side. But that I'm like, tell me exactly what you want. Exactly. Like, and I even tell them if you have a weird version of a song, because sometimes people just want the Justin Bieber cover of a song instead of like the original one. I have them make sure they either drop a YouTube link and or Spotify link so that way I can find it, download it, buy it, whether it be Amazon, Beatport, whatever I got to do. But for the reception, the party, you would say, because of my relationship with music, I love so many genres of music. I really do. My favorite genre is honestly R&B. I love it.
R&B is so malleable. Like you can purvey so many messages with R&B. I love R&B too. Yeah.
Yeah. But I usually give them 10 songs that's like must play during the reception. You get 10 songs must play. Like, and these are the 10 songs you want to hear during your reception, and you have an unlimited do not play list. And the reason I say that, it tells me more about you if you tell me what you don't like. And a lot of people don't even think about what they like enough. So if I'm like, hey, let's say, you're getting married, like, okay, what type of music do you want? Oh, I don't know. I like everything. No, you don't. And that's okay. It is okay to not like something. Like it can still be, it can shine in its own light. You don't necessarily have to like something, and it's not a negative thing, but you just got to be, self-aware enough to be like, I'm not a fan of that. Can you not play that? A lot of people don't know how to do that until I make them put out that list. So then that allows me, I can tell a lot about what music somebody likes the second they say like, hey, I'm not a fan of Sexy Red. I'm not a fan of Lil Wayne. I'm not a fan of Drake, but I actually really like Nas. That kind of already tells me relatively your age and where you're from. And like, I can just I can go from there and be like, oh, okay, you don't like Nas. I mean, you like Nas, but okay, you're probably like a Tribe Called Quest. Like you are more into the more lyrical types of hip hop, but you're not into the club scene. So like that is how I work my weddings, because it allows me to have flexibility and be freeform within staying within your 10 must play songs.
That's actually a really good point then, because then you can extrapolate even more details on. Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I know. I've had a few students who they've wound up going into the wedding DJing side of things, because it's like, for anyone watching this, wedding DJing is really good money.
It
in
is,
most cases, it's really, really good money. But the they've told me a little bit about what they've done, and for my wife and I's wedding, we got lucky because our friend Brandon, shout out Hoopla if you see this, but he was working for the company DJ Connection that we hired, and they had a similar system, but they didn't ask us what not to play, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that tells me a little bit more, just because I've come across, I came across this a lot growing up, where like I'd ask like, other kids or, other students, what's your favorite song? And they're like, I don't know. So I'm like, no, maybe not like of all time, but like, what are you liking right now? I don't know, that one song. They can't even name it. So like,
versus if you ask someone what they don't like, yes. I'm thinking about this right now. I can list some names that I'm not a fan of, but if you were to ask me my favorite song, I would honestly have to ask you what genre. Because
fair. Because when you're in music, it is a little bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah. But well, that's cool, man. So one last thing I want to ask, and this is something I'm asking everybody, and it's been kind of funny because we've already had 2 different moments where we had to edit things out.
Oh yeah.
So it's this one gets kind of wild. So wild times in the music industry. Can you think of do you have a crazy story that you're allowed to tell, a crazy experience, otherwise unforgettable moment that happened to you in music?
Like crazy as in like funny, crazy as in like
crazy as in funny, could be crazy as in just like chaotic. I mean, I don't know. This is sort of a broad thing. Donnie Baker on his episode, on episode 2, he was talking about how him and a musician, he wouldn't name the musician, which is sort of fair. But they stole 2 boats to get from Catalina Island to the mainland in LA. They stole 2 boats while drunk to get back over to LA. It's, I don't know, like, but he's also Donnie's been around. He's been through some wild stuff, I mean,
yeah.
So it can be anything. Like,
to be honest, since I've gotten into music, I have been so deep into it, between the Spira project, the cheerleading music, the DJing weddings, that I don't really have a crazy story of something that has happened to me. The coolest thing is I've been able to DJ in multiple countries, DJing weddings.
Oh, that's cool. What countries?
I just had a wedding in Mexico in September, and then I've been to Jamaica last year or something like that, which was cool
Sweet.
because the wedding in Jamaica love house music, so I was able to tap into the house music DJ side. So
Oh,
it was
nice.
fun. Yeah.
House music DJing is so like if I'm mixing dubstep or rhythm or whatever, I really have to focus. I have to be like laser focused on the
hmm
transitioning. I feel like,
hmm
whereas house is such a like I can
Catch
have
a vibe.
fun, like I can chill out. I can actually breathe.
hmm
I can hang out with the friends, and then hang on, actually, we're gonna make this transition. It's not
hmm
as immediate.
Yeah.
Well, it's very chill.
But
Well, that's good. You don't
yeah,
have any crazy wild stories just yet.
all that was in cheerleading. I retired when I said music saved my life. Yeah, it got me. It got me in a good spot. I'm able to
Nice, man.
share that passion with other people. So I don't. Yeah.
So while we're here, so what's next for your Spira project? Do you have any new releases coming up? Any shows we should mention?
No shows right now because I kind of front load my shows. Like, so I try to do more of them during the summer because November is big for the cheerleading music production part.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I try not to, hey, sorry, I can't do your cheerleading mix. I'm at a show. They're like, excuse me. So I just don't put myself in that situation. But I just actually dialed in my schedule for 2026, and I'll just count the releases real
Wait,
quick.
you gotta count them. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, because I'm very meticulous with this stuff. So like it just helps me, budget, releases, stuff like that. I
That's
have
actually while he finds that, anybody watching, do that. Like plan your exact like make a spreadsheet, use ClickUp, whatever you need to do. Um, mark down when your distribution deadlines are, when you need to have artwork done by, your whole promo campaign. If you can have all of this in a heads up display right in front of you, like I'm assuming like how you have it, like
Yep.
then it makes the stress of actually orchestrating all of that and the distribution and all that non-existent, and it will help you have a clearer mind, and you'll probably make better music.
Yeah. Yeah. From we'll have to see, but it looks like 15 to 20. I'm kind of finalizing, waiting for some collabs, tunes that I am
For
planning on dropping
2026?
between December and 2026. I'm probably gonna do a couple bootlegs in December. Then hit the
Sick.
ground running come January.
I gotta send you something. I
Okay.
still gotta get you something. I've between the move and the podcast and the app and everything, I think I just got back into a nice little flow like yesterday.
Yeah, I know how it is because I moved to this new spot in October. As soon as that happened, it was just like boss for the cheer music was like, hey, I want you to do more work. I'm like, money, music is music, so I'm still happy about it for sure. But it's like I gotta do a little bit change of scheduling for next year because that way, like I said, I'm gonna front load my show. So if you do want to see me perform, most likely be from January to about like August. Pop in for shows every once in a while. Like I just performed at Austin a couple weeks ago, doing support for Izzy Vadim, which was a
oh, that's right.
blast.
Oh
The
my god,
scene in
I met
Austin.
him. He played after Dance Festopia this year.
hmm
He played right after me on the Lollipop stage, and like I had sort of like I've known of his music for like a
hmm
long time, and we had kind of worked adjacently on a different project. Um, yeah, I met him for the first time. He's a cool dude,
Yeah,
super chill.
yeah, very bouncy music. It was a fun show, but yeah, so just gonna hit the ground running with a lot of music. Like
Sick.
like you were saying, it helps to plan the schedule. Like and I kind of have my schedule set up where it's allow flexibility. Like I have like dates that I plan on doing things, but like there's always I'm very meticulous. So like I don't know, you don't want to release delayed because you're waiting on art because an artist got sick or you didn't have the money to fund it, so you had to push it back. So like give yourself that flexibility for that if you're doing like any type of and it's not just EDM, that's any type of artist project. You always got to pay speaking of which, pay your artist. Make sure you
Yeah,
are paying the people for art.
don't
I'm not
ask
an
for free
advocate of
shit.
yeah, no, like it's or like I'm all for exchange of services. Like, hey, can you mix this song for me? And I'll do your art. Like vice, like, that's
That's a
fine.
barter. That's
Yes,
natural, I
yes,
feel like.
yes, yes. But the hey, like, oh, let's do this art, then I can't pay you, man. You want to do a song like this? We all got to eat. We all got to eat. If you want people to respect your artistry, you should respect others. So that's where I stand firm on that.
That's where I'm at with homie discounts. Like, as far as like, cause you know what I'm talking about, where people ask for like the homie hookup,
Hmm.
AKA free. And it's like,
Hmm.
if somebody is actually your homie, shouldn't
They'll
you
pay.
make sure they're fed? Feed your
Yeah,
homie, man.
100%. Yeah. I'm the same way. Like favors, don't mind, but for the most part, I'm like, hey, like I will pay you for this time. Like my buddy Percy's, shout out Percy's, amazing
Love
producer,
Percy's. Shout out Percy's.
amazing producer. Um we did lessons that, like I tapped in with him, like, hey, I want to learn this because you're good at this. I'm not. Like I want to learn. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pay you. Just tell me how much. You
Isn't
know?
Percy's coming back? I saw something. He posted
He,
something recently. He's got something coming.
he did a remix for me, the Lunar Path. He did a remix for me at Hydrosonics.
Oh, I
It's
remember that. Shout
it
out
is insane.
Hydrosonics too.
Yep. Shout out the buddy. Yeah. Sh-
Hydrosonics is the dude. I remember when so it was a remix competition for mine and Megahertz track,
mhm.
and we got so many. I got
Submissions.
a ton of submissions. I think we had over 100 submissions for that, and
Jesus.
yeah, we did. It was and I remember it was sort of a voting process, right? So the label needed to kind of convene and figure out their part of it, and then I had a vote, and then like Megahertz, both of them had a vote, and like I remember listening to the Hydrosonics one, and I'm like, that one,
Mhm.
that one. Like I am like the golden buzzer on AGT, like
Yep, yep.
if I
Or
had
the
a golden
voice,
buzzer,
whatever it is,
the
yeah.
voice, is it the voice? It might be the voice, but
They all those shows are just like, Bob, turn the chair around and like, yep, I want you. Yeah.
the one, yeah.
Mhm.
Hydrosonics is dope. He's got some stuff on the horizon. I feel like that's gonna be
Yeah, we got a
exciting.
collab that will be probably come out around like February. We were just talking about that, so got to dial in some stuff. Another collab. He was hopping on a lunar path with me. Sick producer, good dude, very good dude. That's
Incredible work ethic. Like it's one of those things where that's a prime example. I feel like you've got that trait. I feel like anybody who is consistently releasing music, consistently working on the brand and the image and like making a cohesive project as opposed to just like anything less than that, right? It
yeah,
requires a certain attention to detail, a certain
it does.
dedication, a discipline. And
Hmm.
this is something that Gasly, Gengar, talks about
Hmm.
is having that discipline to like kind of hold yourself accountable to doing
Hmm.
things. And I feel like, dude, Hydrosonics does that shit. So
Yeah, he does for sure. I mean, like
we're
he
glazing him
also
so
is like
hard
a
right now.
yeah. You should glaze your friends. What you mean? Like, yeah, I'm gonna hype my homies up. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly. So
You made a good point about the branding aspect. I spend a lot like I love branding and lore. Love it. Like that's something that I'm always the music is one thing, but spend some time thinking about like how um something would look. Somebody explained this to me once. If a deaf person came to your set, how would it look? And I was like, excuse me? Like, like I didn't really understand the
whoa.
question because a lot of times as artists, we're all, especially EDM, we get so focused on the cool sounds, the cool sound design. But like, what do these bigger artists all relatively have in common? They have a cohesive brand that people can attach to. So how does that look? Like, because deaf people go to a lot of music events. They like the vibrations. They they
They do.
they do. So you might come across a deaf person in one of your sets, and they're probably going to tell you like, like dope set, because just because they're hard of hearing doesn't necessarily mean they can't talk. Not trying to offend anyone.
Yeah.
But
No, I've had that. It's a couple of times. There was there was one deaf guy that would go to all the EDM shows in St. Louis, and
mm-hmm,
he was just like the chillest dude. Like everybody loved him, and
mm-hmm,
like that's exactly what he said. It's the vibrations.
yeah,
It's and the but also the lighting and the visuals and the
mm-hmm.
it's really important. I never thought about that actually. I never thought about the visual aspects.
That's the best advice I ever got from uh their name is Wesley Collins. That's the
Wesley Collins, shout
yeah,
out Wesley.
that's the best advice I've ever gotten from Wesley, and it's kind of how I tackle a lot of decisions when it comes to my EDM.
True visionaries are rare in I think any facet of like anything, and they are definitely that. So it's,
Hmm.
but well, this has been fun. I
Yes.
mean, one last thing that I realized I didn't ask you that I probably should have asked you way at the start of this, but you know what? We're here now. How did you get the artist name Spira?
It was a play off my last name Spears, and ironically, one of my favorite video games, Final Fantasy X, they have a world named Spira. So kind of just played off of that. And then I looked into like trademarking and all that stuff, and it's technically not even trademarked. There is no
Really?
music brand under Spira. So
Well, yeah, because that would be class 041, whereas if they were to do that in the context of a video game, that would be a completely different trademark class.
exactly. So that's
Yeah.
why I looked into it. I was going by my entertainment company at first. Like I just made a random name, like Theory Entertainment, and that's my entertainment company now. But it's like it didn't really give me like I couldn't imagine that on a stage, you know. So I came across that and SP Spears, and then Spear was my favorite video game. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with that.
That works out. That's cool,
Yeah,
man. That's cool. Well, thanks for doing this. Thanks for, I mean, anybody
thanks
who's
for having
watching
me.
this, like, check out Spira, check out Vante on Ascendry.app. Do you have the free consult call option on?
I do. I have it on. Yeah.
So check that out. You can do a free consult with him and see if he'll be able to help you out. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
I
Let's get to
really
know each other.
actually, it's really cool seeing you guys that, you know, like when we rolled out the free consult call option, I wasn't sure how many mentors would really be down with that. Because I
Hmm.
mean, we all get busy, you know, like, I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't going to hold anything against anybody for not, right? Sometimes the
Hmm.
schedules just don't line up, but,
Right.
um, pretty much every one of you guys, I think it's like 80% of the mentors that are on Ascendry right now
Hmm.
have the free console call option available. So
Yeah, I'm all down for it. I mean, because I look at it like I said, I'm not just doing this for money. Like I love teaching. So if I can make like I want it to be a good fit. And if there's something, turns out like I don't know, you used a DAW that I don't know how to use. Like I don't know, you're in Pro Tools, and I haven't opened Pro Tools yet. I don't want you to book a session with me because you want to learn, EDM, and then you're in Pro Tools, and then some of the stuff doesn't translate. After you get past that basic, saw wave, sine wave stuff. Like I want it to be of the best value to you, and I want to teach. So do some free consults. I'm all down.
the match has got to be made, and it's like, there's no better way to make that match. Of course, we did also roll out because when students create accounts now, there's a six, or I think we added a seventh question, where it takes the person through a series of multiple choice, and it will actually recommend 3 mentors at a time, and it
Oh, that's
refreshes
cool.
each week, and so that new mentors that come into the fold get a chance to. But it's like, it matches those answers to what you guys have in your profiles.
Mm,
So if somebody comes in and, they answer it in such a way that it recommends you, it also shows the free consult call option.
hmm.
So it's, we've got that. Oh, did you see in our Discord about the direct video?
Oh, I
Ooh,
remember I saw some stuff today.
so
Uh,
really, like, it's kind of nuts because at the beginning of when we went public with this, you like, mentors were sort of expected, so we kind of had to do this as a workaround. You send a Zoom meeting or a Google link or a
well, yes,
Discord.
you're doing it in the app now, right? Yeah.
There's actually an in-app video, direct audio, screen share. There's no mouse control. We're still working on that. That's another software that we're gonna have to get an OAuth for to try to work into the code. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, the approval process, turns out Google and Zoom don't want just anybody using their API to, do their stuff. There's actually there's an application process, and it is very stringent. They are very
Hmm.
strict. But we found a workaround and used a completely different platform to actually make it to where now if you go on Ascendry.app, you book a session, whether it's the discovery call or if you book a full-fledged session or, a package, like a program package with somebody, the sessions, it shows up 15 minutes before the session starts, button lights up green, you click it, takes you to the room, and it's even got a chat window. Like
Oh, yes.
all
Yes. There we go.
there,
Yes. Because I
just
know
in the
people are just
platform.
more likely to they like staying within an app. That's just, humans like simplicity. So I completely
Less hoops to
that is
jump
dope.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's a tech savvy too, especially as they're getting into this. They don't want to it can be a little bit daunting, like, I've never used Discord before, like, or I've never used Zoom. What do so that is dope. That is a great addition.
Well, also I feel like it's gonna help because, like, I mean, personally, I mean, I still need Zoom for like other stuff, but I feel like even on the mentor side, like Zoom Pro is I think like what, like $16 a month.
I don't know. I'm a
Yeah,
Discord guy,
19.
so I pay for
Yeah.
Nitro. So
Nitro's what? Isn't Nitro stupid cheap? Isn't it like $6 a month or like
it's
two,
like $3 if you
3?
want. Like it's
Yeah,
like 3, but then I also have a Discord server that I boost, so like anybody that's in my server can stream high quality and like do certain things.
sick, sick.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, I'll cut that out. I literally got a Norton pop up. Damn it. Okay. Well, thanks for being on the podcast, man. Thanks for coming and hanging out and chatting. And yeah, appreciate it, man.
Thank you for everything you're doing with this platform. It is dope. Like I said, people are like Ledneck was already telling me like he's taking lessons with other mentors, and it's dope to see like how much growth
True.
is inspiring in the community. So thank you.